Ola, welcome to the podcast. I'm super excited to work with you today. For people who aren't familiar with you and all the incredible stuff you're doing in the soccer space that way, would you mind filling in a little bit about who you are and all the amazing things you've got going on?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I am from Iceland, and I played soccer my whole life. And I'm now playing at Harvard, where I'm studying as well. And I've played for the Icelandic national team, and then I played for a club in Iceland during the summer called Breivik.
That's incredible. How did we initially get into soccer? Because it sounds like this has been kind of a life in the making that way by the sounds.
Yeah, yeah. I started playing. My parents didn't let me play until my second semester of first grade because they thought I should get like into school a little bit before that. Um, but just right after my first semester ended, I was like, "You gotta sign me up." And I think that interest came just like from playing in like preschool and kindergarten. And it's like I think that the one thing too is that I really like the kits. I wanted a soccer kit, and I thought the way to get that was to practice. So it's definitely a mix of the vibe of soccer and then just playing it. I thought it was fun. And then I've just been playing since. I've I've played a couple other sports. Like I tried a couple, but the one that stuck was soccer. I think outside of that I did track for like a year, but it wasn't like I wasn't all in. It was more just to be faster for soccer and better for soccer.
Everything kept coming back to
Yeah.
soccer. Soccer
Yeah.
was really the main thing for you
Yeah,
at the end of the
exactly.
day. You mentioned the kits, and I absolutely love the creativity that some of these teams use when they're putting their colors together and that sort of thing. Of the teams, I don't care if we're talking Europe, US, wherever, who's got the best kits? Like, what do we like that way? Any specific color concepts, designs, that sort of thing?
Oh, that's a good question. I think 'cause I'm a Barcelona fan. I think Barcelona always has nice ones. I think they can get creative with it sometimes. I'm not an Arsenal fan, but I think they do have pretty nice kits. Like they're so simple, but at the same time they make like a little tweak in it too, which I think is nice. Um, then I remember like the kits from the World Cup 2018. So it's just like I think the best ones are like the ones that are out there, but not too much out there.
Right. It's gotta be unique and different, but if you
Yeah.
go too far off the edge,
Exactly.
it
Mexico always has pretty good ones actually. They have cool designs. And Japan.
it's so funny to hear you say Barcelona initially because when I played soccer and when I grew up watching soccer, I was all in on Barcelona. That was I
Yeah.
called it the golden era because Messi, Xavi, and Iniesta, all these incredible players, absolute legends were there. And there's just something about that club. It just felt like more than a club, for lack
Yeah.
of a better way to put it that way. So that's absolutely incredible that way. And you mentioned that you also play on a club yourself during the summertime when you're home. What does that look like? And walk me through kind of what that college plus club experience simultaneously is like for you.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I haven't had too much of like the joint experience of it really. But I've been playing in that league since I was like 16, 17. Uh and like it's not a pro league, so it's a semi-pro league, but you like there's people that get paid to be there, obviously, but like not like we're not getting paid to be there per se. Um so like it's not against any NCAA rules, and it works so perfectly because it's a summer league. So like we start in like it used to be like early May, now it started to be like mid-April, and it goes until like November, like beginning of November. So you get like a decent chunk of the season, which is really nice, like in theory, because I haven't done it before, like playing the whole season and then going to play college, which is like the shortest season ever. But the fact that you get to play in the summer just makes it great.
You mentioned that college feels like the shortest season ever. Growing up in Iceland, was the soccer season and development drastically different than what you've seen or experienced here in America?
Yeah, I've had these conversations before. I think the biggest difference I see um on soccer here and at home is like how individualistic it is here versus at home. And I think that's just like the nature also of the culture a little bit, where everyone's trying to get like the best for themselves, kind of. And the competition is just that much that that's kind of how it happens. But at home, it's more of like you you play like not only for yourself but kind of for your team a little bit, where there's more like they talk more about like passion and how to like move the ball, how to build up, and how to move for your teammates. But here I feel like it's a lot of like individualistic effort and fitness, for example. I think that's like number one, two, and three here, like in strength. So you like kind of dribble until you can't dribble anymore and then you pass it.
It's so interesting to hear you say that because there's a lot of US born and raised athletes that I've worked with that tell me that, there's some kids on their team that maybe come to the US, play at a college from Europe originally. And they're like, yeah, they always tell us how we're working out way more than them. And yet they're always running laps around us on the pitch and like in sport and that sort of thing that way. So it's truly incredible to me how you have two very different kind of upbringings or systems of learning the game, if you will, colliding, and how that interaction unfolds that way. Because it certainly anecdotally seems like to me there's a lot more value in the approach that you all follow. And I mean, I personally follow that very similarly from a high performance rehab model. It's very much team based, and it's like, hey, look, I'm here. What role do I need to play? How can I help? Right? Like some games, you're probably called to score the game winning goal, and some games, you're literally just passing and feeding it to your teammates. And ultimately, like, what you do matters less than the outcome of the entire whole collectively, I feel.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good way to put it. It's like it was definitely one of the biggest things I had to adjust to here. But also I think I'm fortunate with the like diversity of the team here. Like the Harvard team, we have a very international group, which can be challenging at times too, because we have so many people from different places with different approaches and different upbringings. But like trying to get that together, and if that works, that's gonna be really, really powerful and successful, I think.
I couldn't agree more. Why did you end up choosing to attend Harvard? Because I'm sure you had different options and different places you could have gone that way. What made
Yeah.
you decide to go to Massachusetts of all the different places in the US? Like, surely you could have picked like sunny Florida or something like that, right?
Yeah. So I didn't originally want to come to the US to play. I just wanted to go pro, and like I had like options to do so, but throughout like school, and I remember especially in like kind of like the high school age, my dad would always like both my mom and my dad, but I remember my dad more vividly saying this like that I should still like focus on my academics, because like going to the US could always be an option. I feel like that's been like a big movement at home in Iceland, like for the past 10 years. You're seeing kids go more and more to the States to play. So I always had it at the back of my mind, but like I wanted to go pro. But then Harvard approached me, and it was kind of through like players that were here before me that were Icelandic, and I think they had just like recommended me or something. Uh, so when they like Harvard approached me, it was Harvard, and it's a name like it's a big name. Um, and like I kind of got into conversations with them, and it was just like too good to say no to. Like the financial aid, everything about it was really good. We were a top 25 program when I was recruited, so it was all very exciting too.
I would imagine it would be exciting, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like you also were a member of the senior national team for Iceland as well. What was it like to literally represent your home country and play internationally that way against different teams like Scotland and that sort of thing?
Yeah, it's surreal. It's really I mean, I've been in the youth teams since I was 14. I think I played my first game 2018 with the under 16s. Um And that was like that was effort to me at like 14. That felt like a pinch me moment. And then getting called up for the senior national team was similar. It was like it didn't feel real. And that was the winter before I came to Harvard. And then I played like I had a great debut, and then played with them a little bit. Then I got injured. Then I went to Harvard, had a good first season, and then got back into it with the national team. Uh, then after I tore my ACL, I haven't been back, but I'll be back.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you just mentioned kind of that elephant in the room, right? The knee
Yeah, yeah,
injury,
yeah.
the ACL injury, and that's something that far too many soccer athletes are familiar with, right? I don't care if we're talking elite level and you're looking at someone like Neymar or anyone on the women's national side of things that way. I know it's really impacted a lot of female athletes that way. What happened and what was that kind of recovery and return to sport like for you?
Uh, yeah, it was obviously devastating. I felt like I was getting like in a consistent form. Like I was in a good form with I'd been playing like so I was like injured the season before I came to Harvard. And the season before that I actually tore my meniscus on my other knee. Um yeah, I know, and I was like coming back that 2022 season. And then I came back and I got selected in the national team. Everything was going like well. Then I got kind of injured over the summer. It's kind of like dropped me back, and I was honestly having like a pretty tough time with soccer at that point. I was not loving it. I was not even liking it. Like it was hard to go to practice at that time. But so my main focus coming to Harvard and like on the soccer piece, my freshman year was just to have fun, and that worked out really well for me. And then I got the call up again for the national team, and I was getting like on a roll. Had been selected for the past like 3 or 4, and then I think we had only 2 games left in the European qualifiers for the Euros. And I think I'd just come off from a trip, and then we play a game in June, and like I felt like I was a little stiff before the game. And like I'd been stiff. And honestly, like I haven't been doing enough about it, I think. Like you kinda like ignore it a little bit, you think like it's fine. Um Uh, but then like it was early second half that I just like I get like a pass through, or actually it was late in the second. No, in the first half that like I kind of overextend my knee, uh, and like it felt a little loose. And then we go into halftime and we're losing. It was like a heated moment. And then we go back out, and like 2 minutes into the second half, I get like a bouncing pass. I try to reach for it, and some girl like not even pushes me. It's just like a little shoulder to shoulder, and like I fall a little bit here, and I try to use my left foot to stand, and then it just snaps.
That's insane, and
Yeah.
obviously when it happens and you feel that pop,
Yeah, it was like
eh
I just didn't want to believe it was an ACL. I was like, I felt the pop. It hurt like a little bit. Like I remember screaming, but then it was just like, oh, okay. And because it was only 2 minutes into the second half, like no one was warm. So they were like, okay, try to keep playing. So I remember I kept playing. And like I was just like, no, there's something wrong with it. And because I tore my meniscus as well, and I think that was definitely it. And like obviously there's some swelling that comes with it, but then I was just like, okay, I'm out. And then like I had my MRI like 6 days later, I think. Uh, and I honestly had a pretty like I was like not I didn't want to believe it was ACL. No one said to me like it was an ACL before I got it back, but like you never know. Um, but I decided like I didn't want to think about it. I was just like, I can't do anything about it now. I'm just gonna wait. And then I go get the MRI. Like I was pretty chill about it, and then I go to work um on that Thursday, and I was working in like a camp with kids, and we're outside, and then just get a call from one of the physios on the national team, and I was just like, fuck. Like, okay. I just walk away a little bit, and she's just like, yeah, it's the ACL. And then I went to her office, got to cry a little bit there, and then um yeah, that was kind of it. It was honestly a pretty nice moment, but I think the worst part was that like somehow my coach found out pretty quickly. And someone had asked him from like some media, and he just like said it was torn before I could say anything. So the day after, I was getting messages from some soccer like whatever like newspaper asking me if I wanted an interview, and I was like, no, no chance.
My goodness.
They released it like the day after, but like in hindsight, it was fine. Like it's obviously like not great to get so many like I'm sorry messages, but like it was fine because I think what I really felt at that moment was like the community, like you definitely know like what I'm talking about, like the community of like injured athletes or like former injured athletes, especially like with major injuries like ACL. It's like it's so strong and they really want to pick everyone up that they can. So I got so many messages from like former ACLers or like people dealing with it right now, just telling me like feel whatever you're feeling right now. Which was like a message that really stuck with me. So like I had that week to like feel whatever I was feeling. But I think from the get go, like I knew how important the mindset was. Um and there was nothing I can do about it. I was gonna have to have surgery. I was gonna have to go through rehab.
Right.
I might as well do it like with a smile on my face.
And there's so many incredible things that you just outlined there. I mean, first off, the fact that you injured your knee and just kept playing for a little bit, like you're a freaking dog. Like, you know how many people go down and just cannot continue,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
you just found a way to continue to fight. Like that is absolutely incredible, and it's one of those things. I think a lot of times when people think, "Oh, ACL injury," like you go down and you're done.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
some
yeah.
people are able to, like, push through it for a few minutes,
Yeah,
and
it's
it's just
insane.
incredible to see that, first off. And second off, as you outlined there, probably more eloquently than I can put it, undergoing an ACL injury and the subsequent rehab and return to sport that follows that way. As soon as you say the word ACL, people have a tendency to know what that means. It's just more common than we'd like it to be, unfortunately. But to your point, because of that, there is a bit of a community feel around it, and I feel like that is so essential for athletes because they often feel isolated during times like this.
Yeah.
They feel separated from their team because, 2 weeks ago, they were out there kicking it around with the squad, and now they're watching from the sidelines, and it's very easy to let that become a bit of a downward spiral, unfortunately. But I've worked with a number of athletes who, and they are far better about this from a maturity standpoint than I probably would be if it happened to me. But they are very, very good at looking at it as an opportunity. And they say, hey, look, like I now have a year where I can just focus on me and rebuild myself, right? Physically,
Exactly.
mentally, emotionally, spiritually, sleepily, whatever
Yeah.
adjective you want to throw at it. It's like you have this time to literally kind of audit yourself and become the best version of you. And so many athletes are just so good at using that opportunity to lock in and get it done that way. And it sounds like you were able to do that yourself as well.
Yeah. No, I think you really hit the nail on the head there. I think like that's exactly what I did. I kind of looked at it as an opportunity. And like I don't know if it was like an inspiration from like someone else. I don't remember, but I just remember like looking at it as an opportunity to like yeah, like you said, just get better. Like this is a year for me to get stronger, um, to get like more mentally tough, to even like do something else than soccer for a year. So the plan is not to get that much time off anyways in the future.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's honestly just looking at it as a good thing because there's nothing you can do to change it. There's not much you can do to like speed the process, and I think like I remember like people telling me like, "Oh, okay, it's like maybe it's just 9 months." Like I've seen people come back after 9 months, and I just like from the start, even before the surgery, I was like, "No, I'm gonna take a year. Like I'm gonna take my whole time to do it well and to get better, not just to come back, but to come back better and stronger."
I couldn't agree more. And to your point as well, people love to put timestamps on things.
Yeah.
I don't care if we're talking about ACL rehab, if we're talking about relationships, if we're talking about how long you should leave the thing on the grill for, should it be 4 minutes or 5 minutes before you flip it? People love to put time components on stuff. And to a certain extent, yeah, we need to pay attention to that. But to another extent, can we just forget about the timing for a minute and just say it's going to happen when it happens?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, some athletes are going to return at 8 months.
Yeah.
Some are going to take a year and a half.
Well,
Everyone's a little different. I think to your point, there needs to be a ability to find beauty in the struggle and the process and not necessarily try and escape that too soon. Because I feel like, at least in my experience, and I have not studied things like psychology to the level that you have, but I feel like things happen for a reason and they try to teach you some kind of lesson or
yeah.
experience. And I've noticed, at least for myself, when I don't get that lesson the first time, the same thing happens again and again and again, and eventually I get it, but I'm like, "Man, it would have been way easier for me to just slow down and take the lesson the first time this happened instead of repeating it
Yeah.
6 or 7
I
times," right?
exactly. I think that's a mindset. That's just a mentality that you can have or you don't have. Or you can get it. Like you can have it and you can lose it as well. And I think like during my rehab, like I think that my mentality was really good um throughout. And like what I felt coming back too was that I kind of lost that mentality a little bit. And like during the season I try to find the same mentality that I had when I was injured, um, but I wasn't injured, you know? So like I was trying to find like the good things in everything. Like we had a bad practice or my knee hurt a little bit. Like I would try to find the good things in it, even though I had everything I wanted. But like when I was injured, it was like I was trying to find that because I didn't have what I really wanted to have was to play soccer and be healthy. So I think like what it taught me ultimately was like to just look at the bright side every time, even though if you have like everything, um, it's like the same thing. It's like you don't know what you have, like unless or whatever you say. Like what is it? You don't know what you have until you lose it, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note, what impact do you feel like studying psychology had on you during your ACL rehab process? Because I'd imagine kind of learning about some of these different components of things like mental and cognitive health when you're in a time that really tries you on those fronts, they kind of go hand in hand together, I would think.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Um, I I think the biggest part for me was this like I said to you, like I wanted to be pro. I didn't want to come to the US originally. But what being a Harvard has allowed me to do is like explore these two versions of myself. Or like expand my identity basically. I wouldn't say it's two versions. It's the same me, but like expand my identity more from like a soccer player to a student as well. So like and I think that's really important and I think that's also why some people feel alone um during like times like this, major injuries, like is that what you are is kind of taken away from you. And your identity is so tied to soccer and then that's taken away from you and then what are you now? So I think it was not even just the psychology or like studying that. I think just school in general and being able to like study and do something else, have an impact somewhere else. And like just keep building something else. Really helped me.
One of the big things that I try to emphasize during this time for athletes as well is kind of that locus of control that way, because I feel like a lot of athletes go from a position where they have near total control, right? They can do whatever they want. They want to go out and play soccer, they can. They want to go out and run a mile, they can. To this injury happens and now you lose almost all of that control, right? You have to wait to get told when you can start walking normal again without crutches. You have to wait to get told when you can run, when you can start juggling a soccer ball, all these different things. Like you lose a lot of that control. And I feel like there's an element of success in this that comes to literally just finding ways to reintroduce control to someone who hasn't had what they usually have in relation to that. And it's like, sometimes it's as simple as just giving them choices in the rehab setting, whether that's the music that you put on or the order of exercises, because I know some people live and die on that hill, but personally, I don't think it matters that much as long as you get it done, right? Like,
Yeah.
does it matter if you squeeze your quad before or after you do the NMES, the little stim? Like, maybe not. Like, I think ultimately you just need to get it done.
Yeah.
So I
No,
think
exactly.
the more you shift control back, and even the surgeons that I often recommend to athletes are phenomenal at literally at a time when emotions are extremely high and everyone's just looking for some clarity. They're really, really good at getting everyone down to ground level and saying, look, here's what's happened. Here's our options to do about it. What do you feel most comfortable with? What would you like to do? And give you the control instead of, oh, we're going to do this. Let's sign up and go. Like,
Yeah.
I think literally just passing the ball back to the athlete and giving them the opportunity to go with it for a little bit makes all the difference in the world.
Yeah. No, for sure. I think like what I really liked about um or I guess liked and disliked was like sometimes I felt like I had those almost too much of like control in something, but I think it was because I was like bouncing back and forth from a physio here and physio back home in Iceland. Um, but it was kind of nice to have like people on both ends trying to help you, you know? But like I really liked just like the structure. Like if you would just give me whatever I needed to do, I would just do it. But what I really learned, like also with that control piece, is like, okay, you have these exercises that you're supposed to do, like on these days, but then like there's a day where your knee's just gonna feel awful. Like you're not gonna be able to do any of it. Like, and I think one of the most valuable things that like I learned that like during rehab was like sometimes a day off is like gonna do more than if you would actually do it. Like it's sometimes like a day off is two steps forward. Whereas if you would study or not study, but if you would like do the exercises and like push yourself and like feel more pain, that's just gonna pull you back in the process. So I think just trusting the process too is really important.
I like to say you take one small step back to go 10 leaps forward, right?
Yeah.
And Jocko Willink has a phenomenal example that he's outlined on a number of different podcasts and talks that he's done of a situation where him and his squad were rolling in to clear a building and everyone just kind of paused for a second and no one really did anything. And he literally just took a physical step back, scanned the room to assess things, and then gave orders and they proceeded forward and executed flawlessly. And it's like there's something about that concept of literally sometimes in life, you need to step back from the situation and just kind of assess where you're at in the process that way. And I think a lot of people struggle with that. And I know I do myself. It's like, how do you literally stay so objective and clear about things that happen when you're literally living them in the moment? It's a lot easier when it's someone else, right? When
Yeah.
we're watching it on like a TV show or a movie, but when it's you, for whatever reason, we're almost blind to it that way. I'd also love to hear a little bit more from you about how you went about that process of deciding on surgical approach, surgeon, physio that you're going to work with that way, and what that process was like. Because I know now more than ever, athletes have a choice and a say in that,
Yeah.
right? They'll get second opinions. They'll talk to different surgeons or physios and that sort of thing, which is great, but it also gives a little bit of stress. Going back to what we said
Yeah,
before about
exactly.
control, it's like you have the ability to decide, but also that's new stress on a already stressed system.
Yeah, no, you're right. I think like so back to the psychology piece, like I took a really great class last semester on like positive psych by Ellen, what was her name again? Wait, I literally have her book under her name is oh yeah, Ellen Langer. And I really like that. And she talked about those second opinions too a little bit. Um and I think like so I was really lucky because I was so involved with the national team. And like the soccer network in Iceland is really tight and like it's because it's really small. And I think that's also why Harvard and other schools are recruiting in Iceland because if you know one Icelandic person, you're gonna know like 10,000 more probably. through that one person. So, like, I really just, like, got my MRI. My physio called me the day after. I got a doctor's appointment the day after that. So the day after I found out my ACL was torn, I had a doctor's appointment. And that doctor was my it's my friend's, like, uncle, and because, like, her dad's his brother. And he had, like, operated on a couple other girls, that I know, and, like, I'd only heard good things about him. I think he works with the national team, like, the men's team. So, I was just like, yeah, I mean, there's nothing, like, everyone's gonna do it pretty much the same, that's what everyone told me. Like, it's a pretty standard surgery. I got the patellar graft one. He just said, like, "That's the gold standard, that's what we're doing now." Like, I don't wanna use the hamstring one because you need that for soccer. So, like, getting just, like, the information about everything, like, he's he's not giving me a choice, but he's, like, informing me about the other things, and, like, I could theoretically be like, "Okay, I want the hamstring one," even though he would advise against it. But, like, I think that was what was really nice, and then I was really fortunate that only a week after that, I got surgery and my knee was, because my knee was, like, the swelling went out pretty quickly. So, it was really nice, and, like, the anesthesiologist was, like, his dad, so, like, my friend's grandpa. It's, like, the most Icelandic thing ever, but and then, like, my coach went into surgery right after me too for, like, a cartilage thing. So and then one of the nurses was my teammate at my club, so it was, like, a very Icelandic,
It's all in the family here, isn't it?
well, yeah, exactly, like, we're all related and we're all just gonna help each other out here, but that's not the case, like, of everyone. I was really lucky.
Yeah, no, that's incredible to have ties like that, and I feel like that also makes your, like, day of operation, if you will, a little bit more comfortable when you
Yeah.
know the people and you
No, I was
know
having a great
what
time.
to expect, like, you're
Yeah.
like, "Can we, like, crank that music up a little
Yeah,
bit?"
yeah,
Like,
yeah, yeah, I got
what
cake and I was
yeah, what do you ask them to put on? Like, if you get the aux, what are you throwing on here?
oh, I mean, I was, like, high on all the drugs, so it would have probably been something unhinged at that point, but probably just something, like, honestly, probably something in Icelandic or, like, the club song we have or something.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
absolute banger. I
yeah.
love that. Now, during the rehab process that way, was there any moments or times that were really challenging or trying for you that way, or did everything go pretty smooth over that following
Yeah,
year?
it sounds like it was like that, but no, there was, like, of course, some bad moments, you know, and it was pretty crazy. So it was, um, so when I tore my ACL, I knew another girl who just tore her ACL here. She tore it just before we went home for summer break. So, like, I knew we were gonna be together in it. And then once the season started, 3 other girls tore their ACLs. So there was 5 of us in the training room doing, like, essentially the same thing, but you know how, like, different it is week by week. So it was, like, me and one girl, like, kind of at the same place, like, she was, like, 3 weeks before me, but she had, like, a meniscus tear that was, like, I think it was repaired, so that took longer than mine, who was just snipped. And then, like, the other 3 were kind of on the same schedule, and, like, we tried to establish, like, pretty early that we didn't wanna, like, compare, but that, like, obviously became, like, kind of hard not to do at some points, like, just within yourself. I think, like, I did pretty well not doing that because, like, I was also ahead of most of them in the process, but, like, the hardest thing was, like, probably just, like, in the training room, like, when they had meetings, like, the whole team, and then on the beginning of the season was harder because, like, you really wanted to play and, like, recovery seemed so far away, but, like, I remember, like, being on the sideline and, like, both me and the other girl, like, that was just when it was just 2 of us, we were just, like, tearing up in there. That's actually one of my friends that tore her ACLs. He was a high.
Yeah, sure.
That's my
We
roommate.
have a guest appearance on the podcast.
Yeah.
This is phenomenal. Usually it's like a little dog or something rolling in. Very rarely do we get another soccer player, so this is
Yeah, another ACL person too.
my goodness.
Limo was like all I was, yeah. Good time, good time. Yeah, really good times. it was just hard to get treatment for everyone. I think that was the hardest part. So it was just one trainer and love it once. Yeah.
I would imagine the yap sessions during that time went
Yeah.
absolutely insane.
Yeah. It was like hard to see someone else be really down about it too, though. I think that was really that was a tough part. Like when someone had a bad day, like everyone kind of had a bad day, you know?
Yeah.
So if we could sync that off, that would be great. But yeah, there was definitely some hard moments, but like when I look back, um, it was like it was a pretty like not a smooth ride, but it was like I didn't hate it. So
Right.
it was I think and I think that's a mindset piece as well. Like just looking at it as an opportunity, like we discussed before, and like looking at it like and like retrospectively, like looking at it as a good thing, like as if you learned something from it. So and like I think that that's what I learned in that psych class too. Is like you choose basically how you see every situation. Like
Right.
like even looking back, like I mean, there's definitely things that you shouldn't look positively back on, but like some like something like in your life that's like just an inconvenience is not tragic.
Yeah. No, I couldn't agree more. I think there's something really powerful about that, and having that ability to look back and learn from the different things that happen, the good, the bad, the ugly, the pretty, and everything in between that way. That's truly an art and something that, it takes time to develop, but if you have the ability to do that, my goodness, are you on a path to succeed in any endeavor that life throws at you, which I know we've talked a lot about the past and a bit about the present, but what does the future bring for you in relation to soccer, in relation to psychology, in relation to travel and that sort of thing? Where are
Yeah.
we headed forward from here?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a junior now, second semester junior, and I'm on track to graduate early too. I decided to do that last spring when I was doing my rehab. Like I wouldn't say coming to Harvard is like a bad thing in my development as a soccer player, but it's also not the best thing I could have done. And I felt like I would kind of like taking school above my development a little bit while still obviously developing, but it's like I have to do a lot of the work myself a little bit with like because there's also Ivy League some time restrictions and stuff. So in the spring we can't even train that much. And I was like, I'll just take an extra class every semester that I have left, and then I'll be able to graduate early and have more options as a soccer player. Like whether that will be like the hope is that I'll find the pro team that that I like the location of, that I think that I can develop in, that I have a fair chance of playing. Um, but then like I'm also open because I have an extra year of eligibility to like enter the transfer portal as well. And I think just doing that in January will just open up more options and more like paths than if I do it in the spring, because then I would just go home and play. Um, so I think like I'm really excited for what the future holds because I don't know what it is. But like I do like school, and I realized that when I came here to Harvard, I wasn't really the school type before. I just kind of got like decent grades, and then like we have an extra year of high school, like compared to the U.S. Like we have like a school from first to 10th grade, and then there's like a school you have to apply to, and it's kind of like a junior college high school vibe. We have to apply and get in, and you're there for 3 years. So we have like 13 years of school before you go to university. And I think like all my classes from like my last year there were like AP classes, so it ended up being a really good GPA, which is very fortunate for me. Um, but like being here has really like opened my eyes to something more, and in the US too. Like I think this is so many opportunities, like job opportunities that you'd never thought of coming from Iceland, where everything is pretty like closed and like I don't want to hate too much, but it's just like it's very close minded when it comes to like something new, and obviously there's just not that many people. So
Yeah. No, and you mentioned Iceland a few times, and it's such impeccable timing because where I live here in Raleigh, they just started doing direct flights to and from Iceland. So
Oh, nice.
wanted to take that flight. What can you tell me about Iceland, recommendations, things to do? Now, obviously, I don't want to be too much of a tourist here, but when people talk Iceland, what kind of things do you like think of or recommend or that sort of thing?
Well, when I think of Iceland, like I think I definitely like when I lived there before I came here, I would like I needed to get out. Like I really I had to get out of there. It's like I don't know, because like I just said, it's very close-minded. It's like everyone's just like kind of doing the same thing a little bit. It's like you go these like three paths or something. Um, that's like making it less than it is, but you know what I mean. But like now that like I think a distance like gives you something like to appreciate. So when I think of it, I like think of the summer nights where like the sun doesn't go down and the weather's nice. Like I think of the smell. I think of just like driving in the sunset, all very romantic, but when you get there it's like that for a little bit. So I think it's perfect to go home over the summer and then like you get that like winter break, just get go there over like the holidays. So that's perfect. And I've gotten a lot of friends coming there to visit. So every time I see them, I go and like tour like the best, like the biggest tourist places. And then like I appreciate Iceland more and more after each time. So it's just, I mean, it's like nature is the biggest thing. If I were to give you a recommendation, just don't stay in the city for too long. Just go on tours, drive, and come in the summer probably.
That sounds perfect because I'm not normally a city guy and I can't sit still, so that sounds perfect for me.
Yeah, go hiking.
What kind of food do you recommend?
I think we have pretty good like cuisine for everything. Not everything, but like I don't think we have like there's no bad food really there.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, like the Icelandic traditional food is not great, but it's like not something you need to eat when you're there. You know what I mean? Like there's there's bigger things, but honestly, there's like we have pretty good like healthy places. I would say, that I like to go to. They're just like super like normal, just like it's like a chicken, like something with like some different like sauce on it or something. Which I like. It's like my go-to. And then we don't have McDonald's. We're like one of the few countries that don't have McDonald's. So there you go. You can't go to McDonald's.
That I haven't been there and I can't tell you the last time I've been there, honestly, so not gonna miss that. Is there any country that you really wanna travel to that you haven't had the opportunity to get to yet?
Uh, yeah, I saw someone today in my class with like a Rio band, like a wristband, because he went there for spring break. So I really want to go to Brazil. To be honest, like I really hope that Iceland makes it to the World Cup, like the women's World Cup, because it's gonna be Brazil. So it would be sick. Ideally playing with them, but I would still want to go.
Well, I will be pulling for Iceland, and I'll be pulling for y'all to end up in Brazil for that.
We need it.
This has been an absolutely incredible conversation covering all things relating to you, Ola. Is there anything we missed as we were chatting today or anything we didn't get into that you wanted to?
No, I don't think anything that can be said in 5 minutes, anyways. But
For people who
no.
wanna find out more about you, keep up to date with your soccer journey, check you out online, that sort of thing, where can they find you at?
Oh, they can find me on Instagram. Uh, yeah. I'm not gonna say LinkedIn, but you can find me on LinkedIn. That's a bit favorite
What
thing ever.
what's the
I
handle?
don't never post on LinkedIn though, but I'm gonna try to get to it.
What's the Instagram handle?
Oh, it's just Ola, like OLLA 9, and then there's like a what do you call it?
Underscore thingies?
Yeah, that one.
Yeah.
I think
Awesome.
that's the best part. That's the best place to find me.
We will link that in the description below too. That way, if you didn't quite catch it, you can just click there and keep up to date with everything that Ola is up to.
Yup.
Ola, this has been incredible. Thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, Dad.